Hi, so it's Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I had a pretty awesome weekend. I'm quite excited about it. But I thought I would pop on really quick and talk about some tools because it's actually one of the questions I get most often. What's a good makeup brush? What's a good makeup sponge? And why? But I'm also going to give a little shout out to some friends of mine for this amazing lip color combo that I figured I would try. And if it didn't work, I would take it off. And if it did work, I would leave it. So it's a little mix up of some candy apple and some cake pop. So it's a little bit ombre, but candy apple is not normally my jam because it's more on the orange side and just is not as flattering with my skin tone, and I drink a whole lot of coffee and my teeth are not as white as I would like them to be, so I feel like it makes it look worse. But adding in this cool purpley pinky color, hi Stephanie, cake pop, I think it's quite cute. So cheers to Cynthia and Morgan for an awesome color that I am totally going to be using again, and I did not think that I could pull off previously, but it's kind of fun and super bold and fabulous for summer. And again, I have some frosted eyeshadow on because I don't believe in the rules that say you can't wear it after a certain age, because I think you just need to know how to do it. So speaking of tools, we have some amazing brushes here at Limelight, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like previously when I went looking for brushes, there were certain companies, I would buy them like once a year, and I would buy a whole bunch when I would go to different trade shows and makeup shows and whatnot. And I would buy like 5 of a particular type of style or size of brush. And I've always been a big fan of natural hair brushes. I know some people have issues with that for allergies, cruelty-free, various other reasons, and I completely respect that. But I've always used natural hair brushes, and it had been my preference for, I don't know, 20-something years. How long have I been licensed? Going on 25 years? So it had always been my preference. I always preferred natural hair brushes. And then I got a hold of Limelight brushes. I can't tell you what's in my other brush roll because I haven't looked at them since. And in listening to the person that curated our brush collection, the styles, sizes, and shapes make a ton of sense. And it's actually changed how I apply makeup. Because I was constantly challenging myself to, when I went to work, just bring Limelight products, because my goal was to pare down, part of my goal with Limelight was to pare down my kit and have something that my clients would be able to use when they left me. Because, you know, as much as I know people love sitting in my chair, I know that at some point, you know, there's reasons that they can't come every time they want to. So if I can empower them to do it themselves, I think that I've accomplished a major goal, whether it's skill set products or tools. So I'm a big fan of teaching people how to recreate the things that I like to do for them so that they can do it for themselves. Now, brushes make this super easy. And I will admit there have been brushes in the past that I've used that as I'm using it, all I'm doing is getting frustrated. And other brushes that I'm like, this is amazing. I wanted in 4,000 more sizes to do a dozen different things. I love all of the Limelight brushes, and our signature brush collection that we previously had, those are amazing. Those have now become my personal brushes. I use them all the time. But our classified brush collection so these are 2 tools that I have in here because these are what I bring with me. So I have spatulas. This is a fabulous little rubber spatula that's also for getting into jars to get that last little bit. So it's multi-purpose, and then a metal spatula to scrape out products and keep everything sanitary. So those stay in my brush roll because that's where I use them. But these brushes have actually changed how I apply makeup, and I think it's pretty awesome because, you know, previously I would go and I would look at the hundreds of brushes, thousands of brushes that a company would have for sale, and I love this one. Like this one I just like pet all the time because it's so fluffy and fabulous. So this is, I also loved it that they are currently now, let's see if we can get this labeled. So can we see, this is brush number 2, and then we have the L's on the bottom. How cute is that, right? So these are fabulous. They're super soft. I say it's kind of like a puppy or a kitty. It's that like super, super soft hair, which also means that I no longer worry about whether or not my brushes are irritating my clients as I'm putting makeup on them. Because sometimes you get a brush and as gentle as you try to be, the person's like, ow, 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 because it's poking them and it feels uncomfortable, and that's not an experience I want anybody to have. Because I'm gonna remember if something's uncomfortable, and I'm not gonna want somebody to put that brush back on my face. I've had that experience and I'm like, do you know the brush? Can we do something else here? So soft brushes are super important, but you also need them to be functional. So we have a lot of different shapes. This is brush number 2. This is an all over powder. This thing is, it's just so, I love it. Bronzer, powder, whatever. It can also work for body if you're doing some like distribution of body products. Something that's really amazing, and this brush is easy to see. You see there's like ridges on the brush. So that's to hold product, because quite often, so these are vegan. Everything about it is synthetic, which is really great for people that want to be eco-conscious or conscious of animals and not use natural hair brushes. But one of the problems in the past with synthetic brushes is they didn't hold on to product really well, which meant that you couldn't get it distributed really well. And for powder products, you ended up with a lot of fallout, which would mean as you were putting your eyeshadow on, it was just falling all over the face. And that's not cool either, because then you have to go back and clean it up, and that takes up a whole bunch of time. So I wasn't a huge fan of synthetic brushes. Partly, that was one of the reasons. They didn't distribute product well, they didn't clean well, they fell apart easy, they just weren't made well. These are pretty awesome. So the ridges that you see there, let's see if we can get the light again. The ridges you see there are to hold on to product. So these work beautifully for powder or cream products. So no matter what you want to put them in or use them in, any one of the brushes in the brush roll will work for either type of product. Obviously, if you're switching between powder and cream, you need to wash them in between, but you can grab any one of these brushes. There are quite a few people that like, where is it? So this is brush number 7, and it is a large shadow brush. I'm just double checking the names as I'm looking at everything. So this is brush number 7. It's a large shadow brush. So a lot of people really like this for concealer, because it's long enough to really get like a buff in there and to really like help buff it out. But this is also an eyeshadow brush. So if I'm switching between the products, I can't really go from, unless I somehow cleaned it in between, you can't really go very quickly from putting concealer on, which is a cream product, to then turning around and using the same brush as an eyeshadow. But if I have a second one, I can do it for that. So that's super convenient. Yeah, the brushes are kind of, I mean, for any and everything, I say think like an artist, and I mean not just a makeup artist, but an artist in general, and use the tool that's going to accomplish the job that you want it to accomplish. So I love that I see people using these smaller brushes for getting in detailed areas and doing something like concealer, because I traditionally use, I'm going to start moving these over, a concealer brush, but you can see the density and how the bristles are in there are a little bit different. So when you're trying to buff something, this is going to give you a lot more coverage, and it's going to be harder to buff because you don't really have the softness like you have in this one. See, because this one, there's more, how it's set in is, it's fluffier. So with that fluffiness, you're able to get a lighter, more diffused look. So that's part of the same reason, you know, something like a buffing brush where it has these multiple bristles where those light, like you can see there's space in between these white ones. So it's going to give you a more diffused look. So it's going to look more airbrushed. It's going to look less dense. So when you're buffing out some sort of cream product, that's fabulous. You know, I still love a traditional foundation brush. Yeah, play with all the brushes. Use them for things that you wouldn't normally use them for. I still will quite often use a traditional foundation brush, especially when I'm doing something that's like a large group, just to get product on the face. Just to really get it like all over, get it on the face. I'm gonna get a heavier coverage with this, but then I can go back in with something else like a buffer brush, or even, that one is too big. That one's not, I'm missing a type of blush brush that I need. So for example, if I was using, if I had something about this size but had like a more flat top, I would use that. So you can use those brushes for foundation as well, or my Blenderful sponge, because I can go back in after I put foundation on with a traditional foundation brush, and I can work it in and buff it out and blend it out with my sponge. So using multiple tools. So I won't, for me personally, it's just faster to get it all on with the brush and then work it out with a sponge, or buff it out with a different type of brush, depending on the coverage and effect and whatnot that I want to have. So it's super exciting that, you know, because these are all the same type of bristles, you know, they have slight variations to them. You can see this one has the texture as well, but this one is completely smooth. So I love that there's that much attention to detail, because it really makes a big difference. Like this is our tapered powder brush. It's brush number 1. I love the size of it. This thing has become one of my favorites. I use it for blush. I use it for bronzer. I use it for my summer look where, if you've been hanging out with me since last year, I take blush number 6 and our Perfect Bronzer, and I'll just buff that right onto my eye, and I'll call it a day, and I'm out the door with some eyeliner and mascara, and maybe a fun lip like this again. But it's a quick, it just gives you a little dimension to your eyes to be able to run out the door. Good for contouring also, blending stuff out. So I love, this has become one of my favorites. I love this brush. But the person that's helped develop our first brush collection, which these are replicated sizes of, I dare say a better quality of brush, in addition to the fact that they're sleek and gorgeous and look beautiful on a vanity. I mean, hello, they're so pretty. You know, each of them was designed, she was the head makeup artist for CNN for a number of years, and she would have her station set up for each of the people that she was going to be working on at any given time, and she had to do them quick. Like they had to get in, out, and in less than like 10 minutes for hair and makeup. So she had her brushes that had product already put on them, they were ready to go, and then she would literally, you know, I would assume like a double swipe of shadow, 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 and the person's off and going. Like she's not dipping in and out of palettes. Like it was literally, it's on the brush, swipe, swipe, and you know, you're off. Foundation's on her sponge or whatever she's doing, and it goes around and the person's out, you know, blush is already on the brush and the person's out. So, you know, everything was she had everything already preset to go for each of the people that she was going to be working on at any given time. So I think that's pretty cool. But she is the person that helped develop our brush line. So this is technically our third brush line. And I venture to say we're going to have these for quite a while, if not forever. And I'm pretty jazzed about them. Like they clean easily. You know, I use my Come Clean brush cleaner, which just got a new name, and I'm gonna have to double check what that is. Still looks like this. Packaging is exactly the same. I need a new one. I clean my brushes often. I need a new one. But this is also vegan. It's vegan coconut milk. And I get the brush a little bit wet, I swirl in there, and then I swirl over my fingers. And if you've heard me before, I used to have to use other tools, or while I was cleaning my brushes is when I would clean my wedding ring, because the other soap that I was using left a residue and it would dull. Yeah. The brushes are pretty fab. But the other soap that I used to clean my brushes would leave a residue on my ring, and it would annoy me because I would be trying to clean it, and then I have to like take my ring to get cleaned, and I can't get it off right now, so I can't get it cleaned. So, and it gets enough other stuff between shampoo and everything else at work. So I've talked about a couple of brushes. Let's start from brush number 1 and let's go through these and what they do. And so we talked about this. This is brush number 1. It is our tapered powder brush, and I admit I'm looking at our catalog to give you the exact name of these. So this does have the textured bristles, which makes it lovely for powder. You get a really beautiful distribution, whether you're going for like a precise distribution of highlighter because it has that taper, or something that's a bigger stroke for blush or bronzer or whatever, or just all over powder. So this is brush number 1. Absolutely, Stephanie. I would love for you to share this. Tapered powder, blush, bronzer, really large swipe of eyeshadow, whatever you think this is going to work for. It's also great for a precise application of our Perfect Pressed Powder, because you don't necessarily, I've talked before about using something that's mattifying to create a highlighting, something that's glowing and something that's mattifying to create a highlight and contour effect. So if you're looking to do a precise application of our Perfect Pressed Powder to create a mattifying effect, to draw attention away from that, or to recess that area, for example, as you would contour, or if you're eliminating a little bit of shine, even though this is where we would normally use a highlighter, but if you're going to put it around the hairline to recess that and then create, like, leave this dewy, it creates a really nice precise application because it does have that tapered. So it's multi-purpose. Think of other creative ways that you want to use it and let me know. I would love to hear them. So brush number 2 is all over powder. This is actually quite larger than our previous brush. I love it. This thing is huge, but it works really well if you're really doing all over powder. So if you're doing a lot of bronzer, a lot of Perfect Pressed Powder. My husband has no hair, so if he was going to be doing a presentation or something on a platform and didn't want to have any shine because he has no hair, I would probably pull out my Oil Strike setting spray just to mattify a little bit, and then some Perfect Pressed Powder to really distribute this all over really quickly. And again, it has those textured bristles that are going to give you hold for powdered products. It would also work really well if you're buffing out something like our Liquid Sunshine to really just kind of get an all over like buffed finish, because it gives you really big distribution, or if you're trying to work it into a body part. So this is big for like large areas and getting stuff moving around. Brush number 3, Angled Blusher. So I grew up in the 80s, everybody had something like this, and if you didn't have something like this, you cut that goofy little brush that came in your compact to make it look like this, because everybody wanted that like serious blush. So this is, I use it more for contouring because you can get that. It gives you a pretty precise cut. I also use it to buff out eyeshadow if something's just a little bit too much. So multi-purpose, you know, wherever you need to use it. You can little contouring on the neck and the décolletage because you need to carry stuff down so that it's all looking the same. This one's fabulous. And just to give you a comparison between it and the other blush brush. Right? Super fabulous. Brush number 4 is our traditional foundation brush. This does not have the textured bristles. Well, I'm glad, Stephanie. I'm happy to help. This one does not have the textured bristles, so you're going to get a smooth application of a cream product with this. It's also, I mean, anything you want to use a foundation brush for. Like it's a large sweeping application brush, quick, easy. It's one of those workhorse sort of brushes, and gorgeous, sleek, and black. So brush number 5 is our buffer brush. It's doing funky things because I did not rinse it well enough. I love this brush. I have become obsessed with this brush, and it works beautifully for distributing cream products. So I use it primarily for my foundation. It has the 2 different types of bristles. So the black ones are a little bit textured, not a lot, but a little bit, to give you to give you the coverage. And then the white ones you can see are much less dense. So they really give you like that airbrushed finish. This is also great. I'll use whatever is left over on it after I've put my foundation on to create a little bit of a base for my eyeshadow with kind of the residue that's left on the brush, because you just need a tiny bit, something for that shadow to stick to create intensity. This thing's a jam. I will also go over it because I am over 40, so my skin is not perfect. I will go over when I'm done doing my makeup and kind of rebuff out areas that have some fine lines and some not so fine lines, just to eliminate creasing before I set them or put my finishing spray on. But it's great to like buff out those little areas again, just to make sure I have a smooth finish on them. Brush number 5. This is one of our best sellers. This is the brush that our previous brush company could not keep in stock for us because we were forever selling out of it. We would get thousands in stock and they would sell out in a day. So this is the jam. This thing's amazing. Everybody needs one. Brush number 6 is our concealer brush. So I talked briefly about this. This is good for any lip product or any cream product. So I will admit I have used it for a really quick sweeping lip. Maybe not a color this bold because you need to be a bit more precise. I've also used it to, because it does not have the textured bristles. Can we get a focus there? Maybe not. It's the smooth bristles, so it's really good for cream products. So if you want to distribute, one other thing really quick that I just thought of. These brushes that distribute cream products are also really good for masks and treatments. I have been known to take a clean foundation brush and stick it in my mask and distribute my mask that way. So, you know, like I said, big sweeping distributions, small distribution of liquid and cream products. So these are the 2 different sizes, and brush number 6 for concealer and or small areas of things. So even if you're doing like a multi-mask, for example, if you're doing an all over skin polish, but you're doing a spot treatment of Mask of Zen, all over skin polish, spot treatment of Mask of Zen. So these are options also because they're just really good for distributing cream products. Next brush, number 7, large shadow. So that is the one that I was also saying works really well for buffing things. So it does have the slightly textured bristles, so it's really good to hold on to powdered products, but it's also good for buffing out and distributing kind of anything that you need to get that sort of precision for something that's about that size. But I love it. It's typically what I do, the light color right here, and I just pat it in. Oh, my vacuum's starting up again. So, large shadow brush. I love this. It's one of my favorites. Then we have our Dome Blender. So this is it's brush number 8. This was one of my go-tos forever for doing a smoky eye. It was kind of the thing that I used for the 2 colors that I keep on the outside of my eye and the brow bone, because I don't know, I was lazy and I just wanted to use one brush. So it has short bristles, so it's really good for getting a dense application of color, because it's not really going to buff it out a lot. So it's really, I use it more for like a tapping in of color in areas that I want to have it really dense, because to try to buff it, it's not going to move. The bristles aren't long enough to really move a lot and really distribute things. The other shadow brush, and then another one that we're coming up on in a second, are better at moving product because they have that give in the bristles that's going to move things and distribute things. These don't really move a lot. So this is kind of my favorite for a smoky eye because I can really get in there and like kind of get a more precise application of product. So I typically use it to like tap stuff on. Next is angled shadow. So I will also use, in addition to using this for, some people use it for in the brow bone. It's also good for distributing cream products if you need to get a little more precision, because you can, these are multi-purpose, they're vegan, it's not a natural hair that's then going to be ruined by putting cream products on it. Because that's what happens with natural hair brushes. They then won't release it and it will forever be a cream product brush. So this is nice. It has nice long bristles to be able to distribute product. I've also used it for a really smoky eye or really like buffing out and buffing something together. But it's great for getting a more precise application of product, going underneath a little bit and buffing if you need. Or if you don't have a concealer brush and you have a bold lip on and you want to go back in with concealer to really define, this is one that can get you in there and doing that, but make sure that it's clean if you're going between powder and cream. So brush number 9, angled shadow brush. Brush number 10 is another one of my favorites. It's our pointed blender.
It's Mom and Dad's home.
Oh, my thing is talking. Pointed blender. And this I use for a lot of distribution of shadow because you see it when you put some pressure on it, it really moves around and blends. So that's lovely for really distributing product. So this is the one that I'll use for, I use this almost every application. So this is one that I need like lots of multiples of, because I'll go in and I'll do like an all over light color, or kind of whatever the base color is of my shadow, and I just get it in there everywhere. It's also great if you have a more deep set eye, or some would say a hooded eye, like I have, to get in there and get product moving around in that brow bone area, the socket area, not the brow bone, but the socket area. So fabulous for that. Next we have our smoky liner, and this is one of my favorites. Because I love a smoky eye. So this is underneath to really buff it out, or on top to really buff out if you're using, even if you're using, again, if you're using a liquid liner in a pot, you can use this to really make that smoky and buffed out. And if you're using, you know, a black cream product and putting black shadow over it, you can go between the two with a brush like this. You're obviously going to have to wash it afterwards. That's why I recommend that you wash all of your brushes that you use, any sort of cream product, after you wash them, or every time after you use them, because it removes that cream product and you know that you have a clean slate the next time you want to use it. So you're not going to go in with a black smoky eye and then try to do something that's lighter, or a bronze or a purple or a vibrant color, and then be like, oh, oops, I still have black on my brush. So why, when you're using a cream product, it's really important to clean after every time you use it, so that you remove bacteria, it doesn't harbor. And thankfully our brush cleaner cleans very quickly, so it's super easy, and because it doesn't leave a residue on the brush when it's rinsed properly and completely, they dry by the next day. So if you're putting your makeup on in the morning, it'll be dry by the next day. And because the brushes are multi-purpose, if you need to go out in the evening, hopefully they'll be dry by then also. If not, you have lots of other options that you can try to mix and match and switch out. So, smoky liner brush. I love this thing. Again, if you're in a pinch and you need to use it for a lip, it will double as that. If you need to use it as like a little buff out brow, you can use it for that. Options. These things all have options. They're multi-purpose. Now we are on our bold lip, which is brush number 12. So this is a much smaller version of something really similar to the concealer brush. So you can use it for a lip. I mean, we're calling it a lip brush. It's a brush that's designed to be used with cream products. So if you really need like super precise spot treatment of concealer, you want to use a lip product, then it's the deal. It's the jam. So you see the difference in size between the concealer and the lip brush. On to our next brush, which is another one of our best sellers, and I love this. This is our Brow Tamer brush. So this is literally all I do to my brows. It has a great brush on the end that you can use for whether or not you use powder or cream products. So if you use a pot and you want to get into a gel pot and you want to get into your brows, it's great for getting in there because it has a nice precise, I mean, that's like a super fine line. It's fabulous. And then you have your fabulous. This is literally all I do to my brows because I think they're just fine the way they are. This is another one of our best sellers. I think it's one of those brushes that I think everybody needs to have. So one of my favorites. Oh, I forgot one. So this is brush number 14. This is brush number 13. So this is our angled liner brush. So you see they're very similar. I'll tell you a little secret. If you don't want to mix and match products too much and you don't do a lot with a liquid liner or a brow product, these brushes are incredibly similar. The liner brush is a little bit thicker, but they're the same type of bristles. So if you're in a pinch and you can only get one, get the brow brush, and then this end can work for brows, a liner, whatever you need to do that needs this sort of precision. So they're really, really similar, and I will use them interchangeably. So they're both fab. And then our last brush is a bent liner brush. So I'm going to take the little thing off. I typically keep the little plastic protective coating on the brush because I'm OCD and I don't like my brushes getting all bent out of shape. So this is our last brush. This is brush number 15, and this is our bent liner brush. So this is where you're going to get that really precise cream product. So, but you can also, I've talked about before using a wet dry shadow. You can get the brush wet and dip it in the shadow to create a liner. So whether or not you want it underneath or over, up to you. So this is brush number 15, our bent liner. Let me put my little cap back on. And then, which I think is fabulous, if you buy, all of the brushes are available individually, so you can purchase them all separately, or you can buy an entire set where this is the top, that has a fabulous L. Where's my L? Oh, the L is on the bottom, sorry. The L is on the bottom. You get this fabulous brush cup that's also great for travel. Let me throw everything back in the correct side. And I have these for my other sets of brushes as well. And this alone, I mean, it's vegan also. It looks like leather, but it's vegan also. And I'm going to give you a little tip on how to, because you see everything kind of extends over the sides of how I put my brushes on. I kind of scoop from the largest and I turn and I keep turning. I flip it upside down, do a few more turns, and because I'm OCD, I line up the seams and turn it back over so that as the brushes are resting in here, the bristles are not all bent. By doing that twisting motion, it kind of realigns everything. And then flipping it back over, everything goes standing up straight again. So, because I don't like the bristles getting all bent. So you see everything is nice and standing up again. But I'll take, while I'm working, I'll take the brushes out of the clean set and I'll put them in the cap and use that as my indicator of my dirty brushes. And this is vegan, so between clients, I'll wipe it down with alcohol just to keep it clean and sanitized because I want to keep everything clean and sanitized. But, you know, tools make a big difference. And like I said, I used to be a big fan of only natural brushes. I really kind of love these brushes and I love the opportunities and the flexibility that each of them has. Because yes, we write down suggested uses for them, but it's really whatever you need to use the brush for. And if the shape works for what you're looking to do and have it do, then use that brush for whatever you want to have it be used for. But if you are getting brushes, make sure you have the proper tool to clean them. I would be buying this whether or not I was with Limelight. The company that we get it from is one of the most popular brush companies, brush cleaning companies in the industry. They have, I mean, this has made cleaning my brushes so much easier. And it is 2 ounces, so it's travel size. And it doesn't really have a smell anymore because I use it, but it doesn't smell bad. It doesn't smell good. It's pretty neutral. And it's super important because that's going to, using a proper brush cleaner. I've used baby shampoo. Never, ever have I ever used dish detergent because, like I said, most of my brushes have been natural hair in the past. So if I'm not going to put it on my own hair, I'm not going to put it on my natural hair brushes because I spend a lot of money on them and they would just get destroyed. So please don't ever use dish soap. Most other soaps will leave a residue, and this does not when it's rinsed completely. I've used Dr. Bronner's soap in the past. It leaves a residue. And that's the thing that would always annoy me because it would end up built up in my ring, and ugh. Then I have to figure out how to clean my ring, which means I have to figure out how to get it off and it doesn't come off. But, you know, using a good brush cleaner, and I don't know that I've ever showed you a comparison of this and some other products and what it does for a makeup sponge, but this will get your makeup sponge clean so much faster and so much easier than anything else I've ever used. So if you're investing in good tools, you need to invest in the other accompanying products to keep them working really well. I have a set of brushes that are probably as old as I am because my mom didn't do makeup, but she still had a set of makeup brushes from when she was in cosmetology school, when I was a very little girl. And I stole them when I went to esthetician school. And I still have them, but I take very, very good care of them. At this point, I don't really even use them because I don't want the glue to start falling apart. But good tools will last you a lifetime. And, you know, this is a set of brushes that taken care of, it's an investment, but taken care of, they're going to last you as long as you need them to. You know, like it's the people that go into Sephora every 2 years and buy new brushes. I'm wondering what happened to them. You know, like is it the brush? Is it like what we do is we're learning how to use them? I'm not sure why somebody needs to invest in brushes every 2 years, but this is the 15 brushes we currently have available in a full set or individually. All of them are in stock and available for you, as is, I believe, our brush cleaner. If it's not, I have some available, so let me know. And our makeup sponges, which are fab, and let's just talk about this for a second. Like, you get this cute little case that it dries in to keep it clean. The shape of it is different than anything else. This one's kind of beat up. This is like my demo. The shape is kind of, it's different than anything else on the market. Others have replicated it since we got it. It's much more dense. Like, this one's dry right now, but it's much more dense than any of the other sponges available. Latex free, of course. I've probably been letting people play with this one for as long as I've been a beauty guide. So this one's been washed and smushed and abused for almost 3 years now, 2 years now, quite a while. And it's still going strong. Like, this is the one I let people like smush and abuse and play with to see what our sponge looks like and does. So it's a little dirty because I need to clean it. But it gets clean super easy with our brush cleaner. So good sponge, much more dense. So it's going to give you a better finish than something that has the sponge holes in it. And those are the tools we have. If you guys need anything, please let me know. I would love for you to like, share, comment, ask me any questions. I would be happy to answer them. And I'm going to give you a quick little secret. We're getting some more brushes and I'm super excited about them and I want them yesterday. Because I love the brushes. They're quite fab. So as we get more information on them and when they're going to be available, I will let you know. But we currently have 15 and they are fabulous and they're again available individually or as a set. And they will up your makeup game, whether you are applying makeup to yourself or somebody else. So if you have any questions, let me know and I will talk to you guys later. I hope you have a great afternoon. Bye. Happy Monday.